Welcome to the ANEW Body Insight Podcast, empowering and inspiring your journey to optimal health. Hosted by Dr. Supatra Tovar, clinical psychologist, registered dietitian, fitness expert, and author of Deprogrammed Diet Culture. Rethink your relationship with food, heal your mind, and live a diet-free life. And Chantal Donnelly, physical therapist and author of Settled, How to Find Calm in a Stress-Inducing World. We follow our guests' journey to optimal health, providing you with the keys to unlock your own wellness path. Tune in and evolve with us. Hello, and welcome to the ANEW Body Insight Podcast. I am Dr. Supatra Tovar, and I am very excited to have 40-plus fitness podcaster, author, and personal trainer, Allan Misner, with us today. So nice to have you here with me, Allan.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
We are pod swapping. I was on Allan's podcast and then invited him on mine. And so I get to pick his brain this time, and I'm very excited to do that. So before I start, I'm going to read a little bit about Allan, and then we will get right into the questions. Allan Misner is the founder of the 40-Plus Fitness Podcast, a popular platform dedicated to fitness, wellness, and mindset for those over 40. His journey began with a personal wake-up call at age 39, leading him to transform his lifestyle and ultimately lose over 55 pounds. As part of his own transformation, Allan became certified as a personal trainer and health coach, launching the podcast in 2015 to support others in reaching their fitness goals. Through hundreds of episodes, I think I was on like 668th or something episode, Allan has interviewed a wide array of health experts, and his podcast has garnered a large following worldwide. He is also the author of The Wellness Roadmap, a book guiding readers towards sustainable health after 40. He lives in Panama, where he continues to coach clients in both fitness and wellness. Allan, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, we want to talk about the transformation. This was a very, very pivotal point in your life, and it is very inspiring. I invited you on this show so we could really delve into motivation and mindset. And so I want to know what mindset shifts were crucial for you when you decided to commit to your health and wellness journey.
Well, I think you said the operative word, commit. Because I had made the decision when I was 39 that I needed to fix something. Mm-hmm. But I found myself at 45 in worse shape than I was back then. And my daughter said something to me. We were on the phone. She had gotten into CrossFit. She was real excited about it. She was now a CrossFit coach, level 1 coach. And so she had changed her major and she was doing all this stuff. And we were on the phone one day and she said, "Daddy, would you watch me do this CrossFit competition?" Okay. And to me, that was like a kick in the mouth.
Really?
Well, because I had always seen myself as a participant in my daughter's life and not a spectator. And here she was at a point in her life where it was exactly kind of where I was at her age. She was doing these things and she was excited about it. And I wasn't able to be in it with her. I was going to be a spectator. I did go watch her. I didn't want to, but I went and watched. But I was, after that phone call was over, I was in Malaysia at the time, and it's a Sunday morning, and I was like, okay, why is this so much harder than anything else I've ever done? Why is getting healthy and fit so hard? And as I was laying there thinking about it, I was like, well, it isn't any harder. The difference was me. The difference was I had never committed to actually do the things that were necessary to get healthy and fit. Because to get healthy and fit, I had to change who I was. And I'd done that many times in my life, but I'd never committed. And so I'm the kind of person, when I commit, it is obsessive. It's fanatical. Okay, it's the one thing. If this is the one thing, then treat it like it's the one thing.
Yes.
And so that was the operative word. My brain had never turned on that this had to be the one thing.
Hmm.
And so I started on that path. And as I went through it, I learned a lot about myself, as you would on any kind of journey like this, where there's a self-discovery and change. And I got to a point where I realized I felt like I was spinning my wheels. I wasn't quite getting there. And I've evaluated that a lot over the years and with a lot of my clients, and recognized that I had a particular mindset at the time that required me to have a big, scary goal in front of me. So I had lost some weight. I was feeling okay, but I felt like I was losing traction. I wasn't quite getting what I needed. And so I called up my daughter. I looked up some things, and things that would be challenging. And I came across the Tough Mudder, which was a 12 to 13 mile mud run. So a mud run is like through territory that's hard. So it's not like you're running. You're climbing, you're crawling, it's muddy, it's difficult. This is where people take Jeeps and ATVs to get them stuck.
Right.
And you're trying to run through this in like a race type situation. And then they throw in 25 obstacles just to make it fun. And these would deal with like different things that were like, so it was heights and water and cold and darkness and tight spaces and electricity. Just different things that would kind of like frighten people or slow them down or keep them from wanting to do this. So it tests you. But the initial test for me was knowing that I was nowhere near in shape enough to do one of these things. And because, again, that mindset of wanting to be a participant and not a spectator, I didn't want to go into something and then my daughter feel like she had to hang back with me. Right. She was a level 1 CrossFit coach. She was an extreme athlete at this point. And I was like, I want to be able to do this on her terms. I want to be in the shape that I need to be to enjoy this experience with my daughter. And so it was this driving force from that point forward, the full commitment, the full actions, the never fail mindset of this was just, okay, I will do this. I will put everything into this. And that drove me to be able to do the things I did. So I changed the way I moved. I changed the way I ate. I changed the way I slept. I changed everything in order to be ready to do this. And the finish of that race goes down for me as one of the top. You have these moments. You've had a child. You'll have these moments with the child that are just like, they're magic. They're like this, they're seared in your soul, like the feeling you had. You'll never stop feeling that. You'll never stop experiencing that. It's like permanent on your soul. And then, so that race was one of them, but there's 3. And so one of them was when she was first born. She was born OP. Okay. If you don't know what that is, it's a form of breech, but it's face up instead of face down. Now, it usually isn't a major problem, but they do sometimes have to use tongs to help the baby through the canal because they're not in the best position for this. So she did go that way. And then as she came out, they give them this aptitude test, so kind of this test. And she didn't do well, but the doctor was very clear. She said, look, that's not abnormal. When they go through this, they're stressed and they're this. And so we're going to give her a little rest and then we're going to go through it again. And so while she was resting, I'm standing over next to her. I've got my hand there and she reaches up and grabs my pinky. Her little fingers just wrapped around my pinky.
Oh my goodness.
Again, that's the feeling I'm talking about. So that was the first one, the day she was born. And then the next one was finishing this race with her, holding her hand. And then the third one was walking her down the aisle about 3 years ago, 3 years ago.
Oh.
And I guess it's 2 years ago. But the principles are this. I know if I had not done what I did that morning to sort out that it was the commitment that was missing, it was the thing, and put the big challenge in front of myself to change, I probably wouldn't have gotten the last 2. Definitely wouldn't have been doing the race with her. And I have to question whether I'd even been alive 2 years ago, given the health I was in at the time that all this happened.
How would you have described yourself before? I mean, physically, mentally, emotionally, and mindset. And how do you describe yourself now?
Okay. Get ready for your bleeper, whoever edits this. But
do we need to?
I was the fat bastard. I literally, like I said, the sitting on the beach at age 39 and all the way through, that was my identity. I was the fat bastard. I was miserable. I was unfit. I was unhealthy. I was obese. And I didn't even like myself. I was in toxic relationships. I had let my relationships with my family, other than my daughter, kind of fade away. And I had nothing but my job. I was really good at my job and I was getting paid well. I had done the thing you're supposed to do. I was a C-suite executive at the age of 39, Fortune 500 company, vice president, nice office, nice pay package, the whole deal. But I was completely miserable. And then, yeah, I did the Tough Mudder and I had those experiences with my daughter. And at this point, I look at fitness in a very different way than I did then, because for me, then fitness was what do I need to be for my daughter? What I need to do to do the things that are going to bring this relationship closer together. Now I look at it and I say, okay, I need to be fit for me. What do I need? What do I want? And so as I look at fitness, particularly as I age, because I'm 58, I'm going to want a lot of the same things. I want, when there's grandkids, there's none yet, but when there's grandkids involved, I want to be a participant in their lives. I don't want to be the grandpa sitting in the rocking chair watching the kids on the floor. I want to be on the floor with them. I don't want to be the grandpa who's sitting on the bench at the entrance of the zoo, waiting for them to come out and tell me about the experience they just had. I want to be running through the zoo with them.
Yeah.
Having the experience with them. And so I need to be in the shape to make that happen. I live on an island. Our healthcare here is okay. It's not the best. There's no ambulance. So if something happened to my wife, to a friend, anything, I want the capacity to be able to do what's necessary to get them where they need to be. So if that's picking up a body and a person and my wife or someone else, putting them in a car and driving them to the hospital myself, I want to be capable of doing that. So I call that fit for task. And as I kind of look at my health and my being, I want to be the person who's there for them and not necessarily a person who's dependent and needs something for myself.
Right. I'm curious. I would assume that your diet was on the less healthful side before and is on the more, I don't like to say good or bad ever. I am very food neutral for a reason because I work with people with eating disorders. But I can imagine you had to really do a shift in your diet. And what was that shift?
Well, I became a coach, not because I wanted to be a coach. I had that great job. That great job came with about 90% travel. So for someone who doesn't travel, you hear these numbers, percentages, it might not mean much, but 90% travel means I'm home 1 weekend a month.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Now, you can't hire a personal trainer and just work with them 1 weekend a month and get anything done. So that was a fundamental problem I was facing. And again, when I get that I will not fail mindset, I had to solve it. There were no podcasts for people over 40. There were no online trainers that did this. And I was looking for even books. That the books were chair yoga and stretching.
Oh, no. Well, it's good, but it's not enough.
Those don't get me wrong. Those are important, but that was not going to solve my fundamental problem. And every time I tried to train like I was 20, I broke. And so there was all of that. And so I said, okay, I need to become my own coach. So I got certified. I did that. I did go speak to a nutritionist. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have a conversation with a nutrition. I'm taking a fitness nutrition class and getting a cert in that or specialty in it. So I was doing those things, but I said, I'm just going to go have a conversation and see what they have to say. And so I told them what my goals were. We sat down and she pulls out this notebook and she said, binder. She says, do you know what paleo is? And I had no clue. I'm like, no. And then, because that wasn't a part of the education. The education was the my plate. So I'm like, okay. So she brings it up. She talks about it. I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting. And there's some reasoning behind it, whether it's right or wrong. It was a thing. So I'm like, okay, obviously change the way I eat because 90% of what I eat is not this.
Hmm.
So I started on it. Now, the way I read paleo myself as I was going through it was this is just basically whole food,
Mm-hmm.
meat, fish, eggs, and some vegetables,
Mm-hmm.
not a lot of fruit. And I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. So I started eating that way. And I was losing some weight. Like I said, at the beginning, I was like, I lost some weight, but I kind of felt a little stalled. Eventually, just kind of the food choices that I made ended up having more of a meat with a little bit of veg rather than the other way around. It could have been the other way around, but for me, it ended up being I'm eating a fair amount of meat and fish, eggs, and then some vegetables, mostly like leafy greens and cruciferous. Now, if you sit down and think about what the macros of that would end up being, it ends up being low carb. Okay, that was an accident.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that's because again, I wasn't counting carbs. I was just saying, what is the food? Okay, I'm going to have some steak, I'll have some chicken, I'll have some fish, I'll have some eggs, and then I'll have some vegetables. So I ended up with my breath smelling funny and just kind of my pee smelled funny.
Feeling fluey.
I ended up in ketosis.
Mm-hmm.
And for my body, ketosis worked wonderful.
Mm.
I don't recommend everybody do it. It's a tool. And people will argue, okay, maybe it's not sustainable. So I can understand that. I can understand. Yeah, eventually you're going to want some of those other things, or you may feel like you need some of those other things, and you may. What I've come to see is that there is no one way that you can eat that's going to be perfect for you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so at periods of time, you can try some of these other ways of eating as long as they kind of fall in one caveat. It's whole food, meaning it came from a healthy animal or a healthy plant in any choice that you want. As long as you're giving it your body the nutrition it needs, it will respond in a helpful way. And so find the way that works that you can keep doing, and that's probably the right way for you to eat. So focusing on whole food, which means if it's in a box, bag, jar, or can, that's one of those things you want to ask, is this serving my body?
Yes.
Or something else?
I think it's actually super important to actually ask your body.
Yes.
Because your body tells you everything you need to know. It tells you if you're hungry. It gives you this imagery on what it needs. And if you're really paying attention, if you're really mindful and you are slowing down, you're not dissociated, you're not distracted, you're also tending to your emotions in a non-nutritive way, you really get these powerful messages from your body. And yes, I think that your body really obviously tends to get happy and zingy with whole foods.
Yeah.
It's not used to chemicals. It doesn't really understand how to assimilate that. And it certainly is toxic to the body, especially certain preservatives and additives, and it does not help us. But when you really allow, so I'm a big proponent of being food neutral and not having good or bad foods. When you allow all of them, then you can have your body decide.
Yeah.
And your body usually decides on the side of food that comes from or close to the ground.
Yes. So the way I like to think of it is like this. Okay. I want you to imagine that there's a being inside your body. Okay. And it can't see the outside world. It only knows what you tell it. Mm-hmm. And the only way you can tell it anything is through nutrition, which is information.
Totally.
Movement, which is information. Mm-hmm. Sleep, which is information. Stress management, and then that voice in your head. Again, editors, a fat bastard was not a nice guy. So I was not kind to myself. And so this is the information that my body's getting. And so all of these things that were coming into my body at that point in time were telling it was unsafe.
Yes. Oh, I
Food,
love to talk about this stuff.
food is not plentiful. And so I'm eating this crap. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And my body knows it's crap. And the sad thing is that all the body can tell you is I need more. Okay. That's the language it has, more. Now, what it was trying to tell me was it needed more nutrition.
Yes.
And I'm thinking it needs another beer. Okay. It's asking for more. I'm giving it more. And the more I'm
Yes.
giving it, it still lacks the nutrition it needs. And it's
Yes.
really struggling to communicate with me. So it makes me hungrier. So I'm eating more of the crap and I'm not getting the nutrition I need. So my energy levels aren't there. My mood is not there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm struggling with all that movement because again, the way we were designed was to move on a regular basis. We get
Totally.
up, we move around, it's nice and gentle, and then there's periods of sprinting and doing what we've got to do, and then there's lifting and carrying heavy stuff. If you're
Mm-hmm.
moving on a normal pattern, your body feels safe. Like Allan has no problem getting out and moving around freely.
Yes.
There's no predators. We are the predator. And then we're eating good quality food and I'm not laying around. If you're laying around all the time, if you're sedentary, why are you staying in the cave?
Yeah.
What danger is out there that's preventing you from going out and doing the things we normally do? So the body does not feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If we're under stress, we're not sleeping. Again, what's going on out there? I don't feel safe. Now, the way a lot of this works then is through our basic endocrine system.
Yeah.
Cortisol,
Of
hold
course.
on to the fat, lose some muscle. We might have to move at any minute. We can't afford to not have this energy because one, there's not enough food, there's not enough nutrition,
Yes.
So we're communicating to our body with our movement, our nutrition, and everything else. And our body, if it does not feel safe, will protect itself by holding on to more body fat, storing it exactly in the places we do not want it personally. But all
Mm-hmm.
our body's trying to do is survive. It,
Yes, it
it doesn't
is.
care if we don't look good in the mirror. It doesn't care if we have more body fat than we really need because we haven't told it what it needed to hear to feel safe and say, oh, it's okay. I can let go of some of this body fat. I can hold
Mm-hmm.
on and build muscle because we're doing the things that are necessary. I feel safe. I feel comfortable. And I feel like it's time to heal, time to build.
Yes.
That's one of the coolest things about the human body, besides its ability to communicate with us that way, is that it is, and I want you to think about it, it is a machine.
Mm-hmm.
It's a biological machine that we get to live in.
Mm.
And if we give it the right things, it can heal itself. There's not
Totally.
another machine out there that can do this.
No.
It can improve itself. There's not another machine out there like this.
Yes.
And we get this gift to live in this wonderful machine that we can heal, we can make better, no matter what age we are, no matter what's going on. If we give our body what it needs,
Yes.
it will get better. It will heal. It's just
So I
amazing.
would say you went from fat bastard, although I would hate to describe you that way, but just scarcity mindset, afraid, unsafe, miserable, unhealthy, to focused, determined, mindful, grateful, appreciative, determined. Did I say determined twice?
Maybe, but
Whatever. You're determined
it
twice.
was definitely there. It was
Doubly
there
determined.
twice. It was definitely there twice.
Tell us, because I know a lot of people really struggle when there's a setback. Can you tell
Yeah.
me how you have overcome your setbacks and what advice do you have for people?
Well, one of the things I want you to be thinking about is when you start thinking about where you need to be, this is never going to be a straight line. There's always going to be zigs and zags.
Hmm.
We never lose weight in a straight line. We never gain strength on a straight line. So there's always going to be these moments. But if you can think about the end game, okay, of what you really want. And so again, I had the end game of wanting to do the Tough Mudder. That was a period in time. But I have
Yes.
other end games in my life. And so I'll tell this story to kind of give you an idea of how I put it all together. So my grandfather, his name was Glenn, he loved golf, like, adored it more than people, more than anything else. He loved the game. And he was a salesman. And back then, that's where you made your deals. So he played golf
Yeah.
practically every day. He lived on a golf course. He traveled around, played golf with all of his clients, his customers. So he was playing golf all the time. Well, I would go visit the family there for Thanksgiving. And so I came in, and this one time, what would do is I'd go to lunch with them, with him and my uncle and all. And then after lunch, they'd all go play golf.
Hmm.
And that's when I'd go visit other family. Well, this one time we pull up in the golf cart, we finish lunch, we get in the golf cart, drive over, and all the guys go off to play golf, and he doesn't go. So I asked him, I said, what's going on? He says, well, I can't swing the club anymore. I don't have the balance. I don't have the strength. I just can't swing the club. And I'm like, okay, because he was 80. So I was like, well, do you want to go to the driving range and we'll work on it? He's like, no, I just can't do it.
Sad.
So he loses golf. Now, a lot of people say, well, he's 80. Okay. He lived until he was 95. So that's 15 years of his life not doing the thing he loves.
Yeah.
That's hard. But now you flash forward to when he's 90 and he's in this apartment. He has his own apartment, but there's a little care desk. So if something's going on, he can call. He can't make it from his chair to the bathroom when he realizes he has to go. So he has to call down to the desk to clean him up because he can't do that either. And so as I look at fitness and I say, okay, well, what will I need? Well, I want to be able to wipe my own butt when I'm 105.
Heck yeah.
Okay.
I don't want anybody doing that for me. No,
I don't want anyone to have
you.
to do that for me. I want to be able to spend time with my family.
Yes.
He didn't want us around because he was so embarrassed by his situation. He didn't want that happening in front of someone.
Yeah.
So I didn't see him the last 5 years of his life.
Oh,
So
sad.
I want to be capable of spending time with my family, of doing things. We didn't really have the Tough Mudder. I did a 50-mile run when I was 29. Then I did a Tough Mudder with my daughter when I was basically 47. I don't know what they're going to be doing 20 years from now. My grandkids are around that age, but I'm going to be the crazy 80-year-old out there doing it with them, you know?
Me too.
I don't see a reason not to. Now, will there be setbacks? Of course, there's going to be setbacks. I wanted to do a Spartan with my brother, and I knew that I needed to be a lot stronger to be able to do that type of obstacle course race because it's very different than a Tough Mudder. Very hard, even maybe a little harder, it could be argued. I knew I needed to be stronger, and I started training for strength, and I tore a rotator cuff. Like pop, done, all the way off.
Wow.
I knew at the incident happened. I still did the race.
Oh my.
Well, you can't tear something that's already tore. There's certain things that happen and you're like, it's done. There's no partially done. It's done. You can't do worse. This is done. So I knew this was going to be hard. I knew it was going to hurt. And I did do the race because I'd signed up for it. I wanted to do it. And then as soon as it was over, I went to the surgeon and I talked to the guy. Okay, I tore the rotator cuff. He's, oh, well, maybe it's partial. I'm like, no, it's tore. He did the stuff. And he's like, yeah, it's tore. And I said, yeah. So they're going to want you to do the PT. I said, that's not going to do anything. He says, no, that's not going to do anything. And at this point, like I said, I knew enough because of my training, the anatomy. I knew exactly what had happened. I knew exactly what needed to happen. I needed the surgery, and then I needed to get into physical therapy. But because I care about the outcome, I care about the being functional after, I had the surgery on a Thursday, and on Monday, I was in PT.
Wow.
Okay. I continued to move and train all the way through until surgery because I knew having as much full range of motion as I could have, I wasn't going to just put it in a sling and avoid pain. I didn't do things that could hurt me, that would hurt while I was just, I couldn't do any pressing movements, but that didn't mean I couldn't do any pulling movements. And that didn't mean I couldn't move my arms and legs through the full range of motion. and continue to do that all the way up till surgery. So when I got through and went into PT, I was 1,000 times better off than what most people would do, trying to avoid the pain, staying in a sling, not moving. I knew that's not what my body needed.
Yes.
So I got the surgery, went into PT. In fact, the trainers, I can't believe how much mobility you have, your ability to move through full range of motion. So that we almost never see that. He was coaching Division I athletes. So I was like, we don't see a lot of that. I'm like, well, I don't want to be hurt by this. I want 100% capacity. He worked with athletes, the surgeon worked. So I had the best surgeon I could get to basically get back to full action, full function. And I didn't lie to them. I didn't say anything other than I want full function. I want to go.
Well, what I'm getting from this is that you really, if you are in the middle of your journey, you need to have a very clear idea of what your goal is, and to never take your eyes off of that, no matter what happens. To be kind to yourself, to be compassionate to yourself if you are having a setback, but to keep your eyes on the prize and to be determined. All of that comes from the mind. And one of my most favorite sayings is, whether you think you are or you think you aren't, either way, you are right.
Yes.
So it really does depend on what you think. So we're out of time for this half of this episode. I can't even believe it. And I still have a million questions for you. So listeners, I do hope you come back for the second half of this amazing episode with Allan Misner. He is the podcast host of the 40 Fitness Podcast. He's a personal trainer. He's an author. He's amazing. So join us next time. And thank you so much for joining me this time, Allan.
Thank you, Supatra.
Thanks for tuning into the ANEW Body Insight Podcast. Please remember, the content shared on this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. You can find us anywhere podcasts are streaming, on YouTube at my.anew.insight and at anew-insight.com under the ANEW Body Insight Podcast tab. Follow us on our socials at my.anew.insight on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more updates. Tune in next time and evolve with us.